So lots to come between now and 3. Some light relief as well, because if the steamy tango danced on Strictly Come Dancing is your experience of this great dance, then think again, as a dance which devotees claims bears little resemblance to that particular tango is currently taking hold in South Devon, thanks to my guests this afternoon. We'll hear from them in a moment. First, a little bit of tango.
Arrabal con casas que reflejan su olor de lata, un arrabal humano con leyendas que se cantan como tango, y haya un reloj que lejos va las 2 de la mañana.
A little extract of traditional tango music, but as I mentioned, something called social tango is taking hold in South Devon, thanks to my guests this afternoon, Lynn Collins and Andreas Wichter from Totnes, and they're playing their part in helping to popularise this, and they're with me this afternoon. Good afternoon to you both.
Hello.
Hello.
How does the social tango, as it's being described, which is gaining popularity in South Devon, differ from the sort of traditional tango, the sort of tango that people might have seen on Strictly? Andreas?
I wouldn't call what you see on Strictly traditional tango. It's not. It's absolutely not. It's show tango that has little basis in actual real tango. There is Argentinian show tango, which I think is a dance about tango. But the real tango is, of course, the social dance, because that's where it came from, which is not to say that show tango is a bad thing or not real, but it is something, a dance about the tango.
Okay, and the piece of music we've just heard, that would be regarded as a traditional piece of tango music, would it?
Yes, of course, which you can, of course, dance a show tango to,
Yeah.
but which is also used for social tango, for social dancing in a so-called milonga, which is where tango is danced.
So when you talk about social tango, what are you talking about? What are people doing that's different from the show tango that Andreas was talking about?
Well, our show tango is predominantly entertainment. It's a spectacle, and it's for people to actually look at, whereas social tango is danced just for the couple who are actually enjoying that particular dance. And social tango is also danced with the room. So everybody is dancing together, and the couple are enjoying their particular dance together. And it's danced in close embrace. And for us, close embrace is the essence of social tango.
So when you say the room is involved, are they all dancing the same moves, or are the couple in the centre the ones who are the focus of attention, and people are sort of just supplementing it with similar moves around the outside?
No. Tango's danced at a social event called a milonga. And it's organised, a social tango with a good milonga is organised in a particular way. Couples dance together, and they dance to 4 tracks usually, which is then divided by something called a cortina, which is a short track of music, something like 30 seconds long. And then the couple leave the floor and they maybe find other partners and dance the next tanda, which is another 4 tracks, which is again divided by a short piece of music. Now, when they're on the floor, they are not dancing in any way to something which is rehearsed. It's not choreographed. Nobody knows what's going to happen. It's up to the leader to improvise to the music that they're hearing, and it's up to the follower to follow what the leader leads without knowing in advance what that is.
And I mentioned this form of tango, this social tango, is becoming increasingly popular in South Devon. You're helping to bring that about. How did that start? How did you start to get it more popular in South Devon?
Okay.
Well, it's not. Don't want to say it's us that is popularizing social tango in Devon. There are other people who've been at this for a long time, and we do our bit, as you said before.
Yes.
So what is our focus specifically is that we understand tango to be centered on the embrace. So it's not about steps, not about what it looks like. It is about the embrace, which allows us to share in the couple with our partner completely and totally how we feel the music and how we want to express it. And that is an extremely powerful thing. And it's not the same as, doing something for people to look at. It's a completely different thing.
Yes.
And that's our focus, the embrace.
And are you finding, therefore, that because of the huge popularity of Strictly Come Dancing, that people are getting maybe the wrong view of the tango? I mean, you talked about the differences, this being deliberately a show tango for the television. Yeah. Is that misleading people now into what they think the tango is?
I think it does mislead people to a large extent, in that when they first come to a beginner's class, it's a shock to learn that their main thing that they're going to have to do is learn how to walk.
Right. You'd think they'd have got to that stage by now, but there's a particular walk, I guess, you're talking about.
There's a particular way that you walk in tango, and your walk is just something that takes years and years and years to actually perfect. It is the essence, really, because tango is a walking dance, and it's walking in an embrace. And so that's a shock, because they want to do all the kicks and the jumps and the this and the that.
Well,
they're into the drama.
I have to say, I don't know a huge amount about the tango. I've not been a big fan of Strictly, so I haven't even watched their version of it to any great extent. But from what I have seen, there seems to be an awful lot of strutting, and you're saying that isn't what the tango's about. A lot of marching and strutting and that sort of thing. It looks very stiff. But from what you're saying, there's much more of an embrace, much more intimate contact with the tango that you're talking about.
I think what is necessary and for tango to be, let's say, authentic or real or have value is, and that I like to quote Carlos Gavito, who is one of the great tango dancers of all time. He said he wants to be remembered as always having been honest in his dance. And I think honesty and just being authentic, being yourself in the tango, that is the essence of it. And if in that spirit you share yourself in a way with the partner and you share what you feel about the music, then it's tango. And it is very simple. It's very simple. It's not complicated.
And so once people come to you and they've got over the initial shock of what they've seen...
of no rose in the teeth.
Indeed, tango on television and no rose in the teeth for real. What is it that you get them to do? What are they doing when they come to you?
Well, first they're learning to walk.
Yeah.
And they're learning to walk in an embrace with their partner. And this involves learning the correct posture, how to move, how the body mechanics actually work, and how to start. Well, for the leaders, it's the complexity also of navigating a floor and leading their partner well at the same time. So it's constantly staying in this embrace to do this.
Yeah, and you said that it depends on the dance, on the leader, and the circumstances. But is there a set structure to the tango, the basics of it that everyone needs to follow if they're performing a tango?
There is a structure in tango, but let's have an analogy. If you have something that is built out of parts, and these parts are very complicated, you can only build it in one way. But if, for example, you take Lego stones, you can build anything with them simply because they are so simple. It is so tango is the same. It has an incredibly simple structure. It is totally simple. But because it is so simple, you can do an enormous amount of different things with it. So that is the challenge, that you have these simple things that you need to master, like walking, And you need to learn how to communicate what you want. Then next, so leading and following is the essence here also. And with that, you can express the music in any way you want. Of course, there is a finite number of possibilities always,
yes,
but the number is huge.
The music we heard at the start of this sounded very traditional, very old-fashioned, some might argue. Are you finding that although the tango we see on Strictly is a very show-type tango, that there is a move back to these more traditional forms of dance? And people years ago, in the 20s and 30s, used to form together and have traditional tea dances and an afternoon dance or an evening dance. It was part of their routine. Are you finding more and more people interested in learning about it and wanting to do it?
I think one of the big attractions is that it's a couple dance, and couple dancing has definitely been popularised by Strictly. No question about that. And I think that tango also has its own kinds of addictions, and it has its own kind of social circle. I mean, when you actually start to dance tango and you begin to get into it more, you meet people who love it too, and it's a huge kind of social grouping. There are kind of international travelling tango gypsies everywhere that you go to dance tango. And that's what happens, really. So, yeah. It's definitely become popular, and it's definitely addictive.
What strikes me, and I'd be interested to get your views on this as dancers, when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, and you'd go to a disco or a nightclub, the dancing was very unstructured. You'd just be waving your arms around, jigging about on the spot a bit. There was no structure to it. And that was considered to be the modern form of dance at the time. But are you finding now, with programmes like Strictly, that there is an appetite for people to form up and dance in a more traditional way again? Are they wanting to learn the more traditional routines?
I don't know about other dances, really. I mean,
but I'm interested to see, really, I suppose, if younger people, because of Strictly, want to go beyond the sort of unstructured disco dancing and actually want to be able to go to a nightclub but do something a bit more formal and a bit more structured.
Well, there does seem to be a graduation from people going to salsa classes and getting into salsa, which is a completely different kind of a dance, and then moving on to tango when they find that salsa doesn't really scratch the itch in the way that they wanted it to. And that is a movement that we often see. People have often done salsa and then moved on. And as far as age is concerned, I think that the majority of people dancing tango tend to be over 30.
Yeah, I think tango is kind of a mature dance. It is not a dance, I like to say, it's not a dance for boys and girls, but for men and women. So it's a bit more, I don't know, grown up maybe,
yes,
than some other dances.
Yeah.